Welcome back, everybody. I hope everyone is having an amazing day. I want to update you all on the new information coming in over the next several days, folks. I do have my fan on in the background today instead of the heater. It's 46 degrees, but it's still pretty warm for this time of year up here in Pittsburgh. So yeah, if you hear that noise in the background, that is just my fan rolling, guys. But it's pretty crazy. Let's delve into this, guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at all those watches, warnings, and advisories. So the map is lit up like a Christmas tree, folks. Take a look at all these. It's definitely pretty crazy. These watches and warnings and advisories stretch from coast to coast. And further south, we have some of those heavier rains moving in, heading up towards Kentucky here, heading into Indiana, Ohio as well. And this rain stretches actually down all the way down to the Gulf Coast here. You can see even Louisiana definitely getting on the action as well. And this actually extends all the way up through the Great Lakes. So it's definitely pretty interesting to see. Also, folks, check this out. This is definitely pretty interesting. Let me zoom in on this. Take a look at Los Angeles here. For the first time, the National Weather Service has issued blizzard warnings for that area. Between the elevations of 2,000 to 3,000 feet, snow accumulations of 10 to 15 inches is possible for sure over the next few days. But it's crazy. So let's take a look at some of those snow accumulations across the nation here. Alright, so let's take a look at some of these snow accumulations across the nation, folks. Some of these snow totals are very impressive across the country, especially within the Pacific Northwest, down through the Intermountain West, with some areas having over 2 feet of snow depth already. So it's definitely pretty crazy. This massive system will be propagating across the northern plains, bringing in some heavy snowfall over the next several days over the northern plains as well as the Great Lakes, and many locations will be adding to their snow totals, especially areas in and around the Minneapolis area, where this storm will rank within the top 10 strongest storms on record in that area. So it's definitely pretty crazy. Let me zoom in on some of these areas here, folks, just to give you an idea of what has already fallen. You can see Minneapolis over the last 72 hours, we have 5.1 inches of snowfall. So it's definitely pretty interesting as we head in. And we go into Washington here as well. I mean, look at these some of these snow totals here. We're definitely looking at 12 to 16 inches here. So it's definitely pretty crazy. Nothing in Seattle, so that's definitely good news for those that live in Seattle. But take a look at some of these snow totals in Northern California here. It's definitely pretty interesting. So we're looking at between about 6 to 10 inches of snowfall have fallen in this area as well. Southern California, not much, but right here near Ridgecrest, just off to the west here, we are looking at about 1 to 2 inches of snowfall have fallen in that area. So it's definitely pretty interesting. Let me flip back over to Michigan here, see what's going on up here. You can see just to the east of Traverse City here, we're looking at 1 to 4 inches of snowfall have fallen across the area. Unfortunately, we're looking at a massive ice storm developing here, so we're going to keep an eye out on that for sure. So yeah, let's definitely move into this temperature gradient that we're dealing with at the moment. All right, take a look at that temperature gradient we are dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. Numerous record high temperatures have been observed across the deep south and within the southeast. But check out that cold air plunging in from the north as well, folks. Many areas in the north are seeing below zero temperatures. This includes Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, down through Nebraska as well. So it's definitely pretty interesting to see. To the south here, though, we have temperatures in the 70s, 80s, and some 90s showing up. So we're looking at near 100 degree temperature difference between just say North Dakota and South Texas here. So it's definitely absolutely insane to witness this in February, folks. Unfortunately, in many areas to the north, an ice storm will be taking shape as these warmer temperatures continue to lift further north, and we are getting signals that an ice storm is definitely going to set up. So we'll definitely take a look at that. But let's actually head into some of the weather today. So switching gears to real time, folks, we could still be dealing with several severe thunderstorms this afternoon and evening across portions of eastern Missouri, southern and central Illinois here, and even extending across portions of western Indiana as well, down through western Kentucky, western Tennessee, eastern Arkansas as well, and even northern Mississippi. We could still observe some stronger wind gusts as we move into the latter portions of the afternoon and into the evening hours. Some storms could produce hail, lightning, and a small window for tornado genesis. We actually have a big area of tornado watches at the moment, so that's definitely pretty interesting to watch for sure. It's interesting to see. I do believe those tornado watches are set to expire here about 6 o'clock, so we still have about 15 more minutes of this. So there are a few areas of tornado watches out there. I believe there's 2 or 3 counties, if I'm not mistaken. I do believe this is in southern and central Illinois, western Kentucky, and east and southeast Missouri. So it's definitely pretty interesting. So tornado watch means conditions are favorable for tornadoes and severe thunderstorms in and close to the watch area. Persons in these areas should be on the lookout for threatening weather conditions and listen for later statements and possible warnings. So it's definitely pretty crazy. So we definitely have to watch this very, very carefully as we head on through the night, because tornadoes and damaging winds could definitely spawn up, especially into southeastern Illinois, heading into southwestern Indiana here, and up towards Lafayette, down through Bloomington as well, and even Indianapolis. We're going to have to watch that for the potential here for some damaging wind threat to come in here. It's definitely going to be interesting to see. So if you live in those areas, definitely be on the lookout. So if anywhere in this green shaded area, or even this yellow area, more or less now in this green shaded area, dark green shaded area I should say, definitely be on the lookout for damaging winds later on today. Heading back into the snowstorm, folks, here's what we could expect over the next 48 hours or so. In the last video, I discussed this potential storm, and now this system is gearing up to produce havoc across the nation. Extremely heavy snow will enter from the Pacific across the higher elevations here along the Pacific coastline. So with totals ticking up into the 2 or 3 feet range. So it's 24 to 36 inches of snow, or maybe more. So that's definitely pretty crazy. Also, the higher elevations within Southern California are definitely going to be wrecked by this snowfall as well. We could see 11 to 17 inches of snowfall there. And within the mountains of Arizona, we could also see monstrous snow totals eclipsing 2 feet as well. We will also begin to observe a blanket of snow impacting the Dakotas through the upper Midwest, as well as into the Great Lakes, which includes northern Michigan. So it's definitely pretty crazy. So this will extend all the way through upstate New York into New England as well, with average snow totals in that area across the board. And these locations may receive between 6 to 15 inches of snow, with some areas observing 16 to 24 inches of snow. So that's about 2 feet of snow, folks. We're going to have to watch this very, very carefully as we head into the next 48 hours or so, and even beyond that. Coupled with the snow, along with a well-defined temperature gradient boundary. Let's take a look at that, folks. We're definitely going to have major concerns with ice stretching from Iowa through southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, across much of Michigan into New York, down through northern Pennsylvania, and across New England as well. We will also see ice occurring through the southwest, in southwestern New Mexico, and trace amounts occurring across portions of central Kansas and north central Oklahoma. Folks, I am deeply concerned about southern Michigan here. Ice totals may exceed 3/4 of an inch up to an inch of ice. And that is not good, folks. Roads may become impassable at that point. So let me paint a picture for you guys. Imagine for a second if you place half an inch of ice on power lines. That's the equivalent of adding 500 to 600 pounds of weight onto those lines. Now, if you add that same amount of ice to larger tree branches, folks, we could be looking at the equivalent of adding upwards of 3,000 pounds to those branches. So you can see where this can get very dangerous to crippling for sure. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see a plethora of power outages occurring across Michigan, upstate New York, and through New England, extending through Friday morning. If you have generators, now is the time to prep those. Also, please make sure that you have food and water for at least a couple days, if not a week. It could be a while before power companies are able to restore power across much of the state. So also, please keep your pets indoors and check on your elderly neighbors to ensure they are safe during this storm as well. Also, a pretty neat tool, if you head on over to poweroutages.us, you can actually observe how many power outages there are in each state. This map will soon populate with many more states, especially our northern states here. As we head further and further through time, you can see right here We're tracking about 91,311 customers out without power here in California. A little over 17,000 here in Arizona without power, a little over 10,000 in New Mexico, and about 17.5 without power in Arkansas. So you can definitely see this system here coming ashore is definitely starting to wreak havoc here. But unfortunately, as this system ejects off to the northeast, we're going to see a plethora of power outages through Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, possibly even northern Illinois as well. Definitely Michigan and New York, and possibly even New England here. We're going to have to watch this. It's definitely where the big ice belt's going to come in. It's definitely not going to be a good situation, folks. We also have that flash flooding threat from heavy rainfall as well. With the La Nina losing influence, many places definitely need this rain that is inbound. With La Nina losing its grip, it's definitely a good sign for those under a drought. We'll have many more systems occurring across areas that need rain due to the subtropical jet coming into play, which will lower the drought for some locations. You can see all the precipitation here impacting the desert southwest. It's definitely pretty interesting to see that. So this actually includes, let me zoom back up a little bit. My apologies for that. There we go. So this actually includes locations within Arizona, Nevada, which includes Las Vegas and areas to the east into Utah and into western slopes of the Rockies. Most of the precipitation will be in the form of snow. Nevertheless, these areas will see precipitation in one form or another as we push forward. So take a look at what is set to unfold between the current time and the next 48 hours across the deep south as well into the Missouri Valley, especially heading across the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes in the northeast. You can definitely see these precipitation values eclipsing an inch here towards northern Mississippi through Tennessee as well. And then unfortunately, as we get down here into southern Michigan, we're looking at almost 2 inches. We're definitely going to go into some of these totals here. So it's definitely not good. This is going to be mostly ice. So it's not going to be 2 inches of ice, folks. It's probably going to be more like 3/4. But as I said earlier, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of ice can add 500 to 600 pounds to power lines, bringing those down very easily. It can also add 2,000 to 3,000 pounds to tree branches as well. So it's definitely not good. So we're definitely have to keep watching this as we keep moving forward. Beyond everything we have been discussing here, folks, thus far, we're going to have yet another significant trough digging down off the Pacific coastline. And by Friday, looking at the integrated water vapor transport with the oranges and reds indicating higher water vapor content, which indicates higher precipitation rates, which here we can see off the west coast. We have values of 500 up to 800 kilograms per meter per second. So it's definitely pretty interesting. So let me back that up a little bit here. We'll keep it at this frame. So this is going to inundate areas such as Santa Barbara, Los Angeles with snow in the higher elevations and heavy rainfall amounts, especially into Los Angeles to San Diego. Getting a plethora of rain on Friday through Saturday for sure. We're also looking for some rain across portions of the deep south and the southeast for heavier rain as well. You can definitely see some of those water vapor values coming in here pretty high as we head into Friday and Saturday. You can see some of these values getting into the 500 to 800 range as well, to the Tennessee Valley, Mississippi Valley, all the way down into sort of the southeast as well into Georgia. So it's definitely pretty interesting as we head forward. All right, talking about the temperatures on Friday, the Arctic air mass we have been discussing will continue to push southward as this system moves through today. We will see the filtering in of colder temperatures back behind it. We will also see big differences in areas such as Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, where they nearly hit 90 degrees yesterday and 50 degrees or so, 54 degrees on Friday. And speaking of that 90-degree day, it was the hottest temperature recorded on that day in nearly 30 years in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, folks. It's definitely interesting to see those records broken. This Arctic air hit will last only about a day down here in the south, but it's definitely a nice cool down for sure. Heading further out through Saturday, we can see that system dropping in across portions of the southern Pacific coastline, and a cold rain setup will be taking place across the deep south and the southeast. Heading up to the Appalachian Mountains, heavier rains will begin setting up across southern Oklahoma as well, across central and southern Arkansas, and across much of the Tennessee, southern Kentucky, and across lower Appalachia as well. Snow will be ongoing across the Great Lakes into northern Pennsylvania as well. If we step this forward, you can definitely see that hit coming in. This actually lasts all the way through Saturday. heading into Sunday and Sunday night, folks, we will need to be on the lookout for severe weather, especially Sunday night, because while investigating the 500 millibar flow, we're going to see a bit of a kink in that flow, which I think will be enough to generate storms across Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas as well. We can see that the instability values in the atmosphere will be on the rise as well, aiding in the development of stronger storms Sunday and definitely Sunday night. Higher dew points will also be advecting northward, providing fuel needed for storms to develop. And take a look at these Cape values, guys. We're looking at about 1,200 joules per kilogram here in the Texas Panhandle, so it's definitely enough, definitely sufficient enough to produce severe weather. We could be seeing significant severe storms developing into the Sunday night time period, especially across the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, which this system may form a significant dangerous QLCS. As a nocturnal setup, you can definitely see that. It's not very good, folks. You can definitely see that is heavy lightning possibly developing here. This is going to head into Sunday night into Monday morning. This will push into the Oklahoma City region as well. Let's step that forward. And region is down through the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, especially during the overnight hours into Sunday. So we keep stepping this forward. It's definitely not going to be a good situation, folks. We can definitely see that linear QLCS or quasi-linear convective system, that structure there. We can have a lot of bookend vortices, definitely some bow echoes, and definitely some brief spin-up tornadoes, maybe some long track tornadoes in some of these heavier cells and these discrete cells that form heading into the Sunday night, late Sunday night and early Monday time frame. And this is the reasoning behind the upgraded risk from the Storm Prediction Center across these areas, and they have already indicated at the possibility for QLCS or quasi-linear convective system storms in this setup. Thus, this could amount to being a very dangerous and high-impact setup Sunday through Monday morning for sure, especially within the nocturnal hours Sunday night. This event will initialize within the Texas Panhandle and head into western Oklahoma and southern Kansas. A larger tornado threat may materialize as well as we get closer to the evening as indices and ingredients mix together. As this event pushes eastward, we will definitely see a transition from discrete supercells to a more QLCS type event, leading to damaging winds in excess of 60 and possibly 70 miles per hour, as well as the threat for tornadoes as well. We'll definitely be keeping our eye on this very closely, folks. Thus, if you have not subscribed yet, please consider doing so to stay up to date on the latest weather information. Also, if you're enjoying our content, hit that like button, and if you would like to say hello, please leave a comment down below. We love hearing from you guys. Lastly, share this information out there to ensure that it reaches those that need it the most. Heading through Sunday night into Monday, we can see that powerful low pressure situated here, and that nastier, more dangerous severe weather will be situated further to the south. Yet again, we may see the potential for another ice storm taking shape up here to the north across eastern North Dakota and into western and central Minnesota here. So definitely not a good situation. So we head into Monday morning. We can definitely maybe dealing with more ice across the upper Midwest into the Northwoods, as well as across the Great Lakes as well, with some heavier snows to the north of that. We just keep extending this forward. We can definitely see that here, folks. This does not look to be as strong as the system poised to impact over the next few days. However, we will be keeping our eyes on this system as well. As this system transfers over to the Atlantic, we'll definitely see that system there pushing. It's definitely pretty crazy. We will see snow across the Great Lakes in the Northeast as well as we close out February. So that's definitely pretty crazy. So we are at the end of February. By Tuesday next week, ladies and gentlemen, this storm could be a game changer for many areas in the Northeast that haven't seen much snowfall this season. We're definitely going to continue to monitor the progression of this system as we move forward. That's definitely pretty interesting. There we go, folks. So you can see we have a couple more systems coming in, possibly even another icing situation. We're going to have to watch this. So definitely not good. Let me actually step that back a little bit. There we go. Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't have that put on there. Let me actually go back a little bit. My apologies for that. So yeah, let's head into Sunday night into Monday here. You can see that powerful low pressure system just meandering here. So we can see that situated here, and that nastier, more dangerous severe weather will be situated further to the south. Yet again, we may have a potential for another ice storm Monday morning. And Monday afternoon, as you can see, some of this ice developing here, and that heavier snow on the backside. This is going to be across North Dakota into western and central Minnesota as well, and even into Wisconsin. And as we head through Monday morning, we may be dealing with yet more ice across the Midwest, the upper Midwest, into the Northwoods as well as across the Great Lakes with some heavier snows to the north of that. So it's definitely pretty interesting to see. That's through Monday. And this system does not look as strong as the one that's actually going to impact here in the next few days. But it's definitely interesting. And as this system does transition out over the Atlantic, we'll see more snowfall across the Great Lakes and the Northeast as we close out February, ladies and gentlemen. This storm could be a game changer for many areas in the Northeast that haven't seen much snowfall this season. As I said before, we're going to continue to monitor the progression of this system as we move forward. So it's definitely pretty interesting, folks. But as I stated before, folks, do like this video and hit the subscribe button to ensure you do not miss any future weather updates. And I'll see you in the next video. Always remember, never stop chasing.